Hi. So this video is about iDubbbz, and I figured I would title it either In Defense of iDubbbz or iDubbbz Advocate in Defense of the Devil, Devil's Advocate. But the point is here that Mr. iDubbbz is kind of everyone's favorite punching bag these days, at least the people I watch. I saw a guy whose YouTube channel was just basically all iDubbbz, not all iDubbbz, but similar kind of drama. And I don't know, it was just kind of too easy at this point, right? Because obviously he fucked up in that Sam Hyde video, but that's 3 years ago, and nobody's really saying anything other than, oh, he thinks he's the puppet master, oh, he's like evil. And it's like, yeah, obviously he's cringe in this thing, but I think there's a lot more to it to that, like, other than just like clowning on him, you know, like calling him a loser or whatever and a weirdo and like brainwashed by his girlfriend and stuff like that. I think yeah, it's way more interesting to understand like why he acts the way he does, why he thinks the way what he thinks, you know, and like why what he thinks leads to his actions. So I think really just to get right into it, obviously the most cringe part of this video is the irony wheel circle, right? I didn't care to decipher what he was talking about when he first came out, and I'm not going to do it for the sake of this video because, first of all, obviously he's wrong in his interpretation because he's clearly not getting the joke that, or like this, the ironic play that Sam is putting on for him. So why would you take his fucking advice about any of this shit? But also, it's just cringe, right? Obviously, it's just cringe and superficially like ignorable, right? Like not superficially, but immediately you have enough to know that it's just, and also it's just boring, you know, like immediate. It's just like, okay, buddy, yeah, no, go back to Sam Hyde saying you baby Sammy Seaweedus, right? But why does he put in his interpretation of irony and meta irony and sincerity and all this stuff in his video? Is because like central to his interactions with Sam Hyde is Sam masking his true intentions and beliefs and whatever, you know, layering it with absurd and like sometimes the opposite of what he actually believes, and iDubbbz, instead of like chilling and going with the flow, he has to sort of, you know, he has to sort of decipher it and feel like he can do some kind of aikido using Sam's ironic force against him, you know, and it's just super cringe. I think the point of just doing this ironic stuff, like if you wanted to make a chart of what irony is all really about, it's not that deep. You don't need this thing where it's going on overlapping itself in a cycle. It's really just kind of polar. It's like you have the truth and then you have the opposite of the truth, and then you have like the middle point of like absurd. And if you don't want things that you truly believe to be exposed, you have to sort of mix it in with things that are either untrue or like just random, irrelevant. And if you do it consistently enough, you sort of conceal whatever, right? Anyone who knows a little bit about like poker game theory or whatever, game theory optimal poker, knows that that's just how it is. Like if you have a good hand, some of the times you bet high and some of the times you bet small, and the reason why you bet small is so that no one can say, oh, he's betting high so he has a good hand, because sometimes you've had a good hand and bet small, right? And so it's just that dynamic, and I think it's really comparable to irony because of that. You know, even iDubbbz picks up on it at one point because he says, "Oh, I noticed Sam was being really sincere and genuine, so he had to say something really crass after that." And it's like, yeah, you picked up on that method, but like you then go on to like attribute like this intention of like wanting to make people look stupid. I think he literally says that word for word onto it. And that's really kind of what's revealing, right? iDubbbz takes this basic thing that's real, he reads way too much into it, and then he attributes like negative intention to like someone using it or something like that, when it's not necessarily the case. And I think in Sam Hyde's case, it's definitely not. So that's basically it. You know, like he believes that the use of irony implies negative intention, and so he needs to be the one, you know, like getting one up on Sam, you know, like being on the winning side of this, you know, like using his negative intention better than Sam can use his, when in reality Sam didn't really have much more negative intention. He just kind of did his MO of like being consistently ironic and putting on a show for iDubbbz that, and I kind of think it shows that like the benefit of this irony thing. You just do it always, and if someone's trying to come and get you and be a weirdo, they kind of just get caught up in this dynamic of not being able to read your bet. And so, you know, if they pass the vibe check and they just kind of go with it and not read too much into it and not get too emotional, everything's good. You know, like that's a whatever, a pal or someone that you can spend more time with. But if they do try and interact with it and get tangled into it, they're just gonna trip up. And that's what happened with iDubbbz. And I think if you want to look even more into it with iDubbbz, he definitely, I would bet that he probably thinks that when he was being ironic, like he just has this fucking scrambled up interpretation of what the fuck is like what he was doing in his earlier videos when he was also just kind of being ironic without thinking too much about it, right? I think maybe he thinks that was him being a bad person just because he was being ironic or something like that. And so now that's why he's on his redemption arc, which is ironically like overly demonizing irony and being so sincere, but it's like a cheap, or not a cheap sincerity, it's just nobody likes his sincerity because all he's being sincere about is garbage beliefs, right? And ideals, and like just being cringe and gay. And yeah, I think if there's some fundamental difference between Sam Hyde and this other dude, iDubbbz, it's like they are both using irony to conceal things. Sam Hyde is doing it in a kind of chill, methodical, no specific outcome intended from it. iDubbbz is doing it in a, you know, like overly intentional, over, you know, like too much of his hands in the mix. And then not only that, he does have a specific negative intention that he is trying to conceal. And then that's what he projects onto Sam, right? Because he was being really weird, while accusing him of stuff. And this is actually kind of the, if you want to go deeper into iDubbbz psyche of, now we're just completely speculating, right? But why not? If you want to go deeper into iDubbbz psychology, iDubbbz is basically Sam Hyde's biggest fan. If you go back to, like, I don't know, what is it, 7 years ago, Sam Hyde gets kicked off of Adult Swim, and he eventually starts the Kickstarter TV series, right? What does iDubbbz start? iDubbbz starts something, Kickstarter crap or whatever. Now, I don't know as to the sequence in time, but it's probably that iDubbbz owes his entire career to Sam Hyde, not just the boxing idea, the fucking Kickstarter, you know, where iDubbbz pretty much got started, what eventually would become Content Top Cop, and he probably knows that he's basically indebted to Sam because, you know, Sam must have had his influences, but ultimately he's way more of an original kind of source of that idea than iDubbbz is. And instead of iDubbbz being able to humbly just say, "Hey, listen, man, thanks for your example, right? And thanks for my career," he has to go say, "Oh, no, 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 you're evil. I took this idea from you because you were too evil to be the only one taking advantage of this." Um, but yeah, it's so crazy to me. All these videos, nobody's brought up this fact that iDubbbz basically copied Kickstarter TV from Sam Hyde, you know, and that kind of leads into their first interaction, where not only did he copy it, he started blowing up his scam and then getting mad when his video blowing up the scam gets taken down. Anyways, yeah, maybe if people stop clowning on iDubbbz for just being cringe and instead kind of go into, you know, I really do think if you just kind of mechanically break down this fucking belief until you get to the point where you realize it's like, oh no, not all irony is masking negative intention, and sometimes it's just a necessity of living in like a life where that some people, you can't be disagreeing with everyone all the time, and sometimes it's better to just conceal your beliefs. Maybe he would just kind of, you know, maybe that is a central belief that he's struggling with, you know. I don't know.